Okay. All right. Just so your children, when they're watching this 30 years from now, will know what's going on. What's today's date, and what are you doing in life right now?
It's the 4th of August,
What year?
2019.
Yeah.
Currently in Flagstaff,
Yeah.
Forest Highlands. We just finished a round of golf. Me
And
and
what do you do?
Talia.
What do you do? For a living?
For a living. I'm a student at Duke University. I have a summer job.
What's the summer job?
I'm interning with Congressman Stanton, who may very well be lost to the tides of history.
Right. And do you have any aspirations for government yourself?
Potentially, one day I could see myself becoming the president of the United States, but
Of the United States.
of the United States. But there's still quite a while between now and then, so
That's
I,
right.
s- I have plenty of stuff to figure out before then.
Okay. All right. Well, we're also one of the things we're doing is celebrating somebody's birthday. Whose birthday recently?
My mother's.
Okay. Well, so I think we should talk about your mom.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the best food your mother makes? What is it you think about when you're down at Duke that you want to be? What's yours?
I mean, first thing that comes to mind is spaghetti and meat sauce, but probably the most nostalgic of all foods is the tuna melts. that she
Tuna
makes,
melts.
yes. There's a nice celery crunch flavor ratio that goes on there, and so, and it just kind of brings me back to after Sunday school at Congregation Beth Israel. We'd come back, checking the fantasy football scores,
Yeah.
and I have one of my mother's tuna melts
You're a fantasy football person?
back in my day.
Okay, and what would you say was your crowning achievement in fantasy football? Well, real football. Speaking.
So, you and you enlisted my help in a
Well, okay, let's get back to your mom. So, are there any sayings or teaching or admonition or something that will stay with you for the rest of your life from your mother?
yeah, yeah. There are quite a few.
Well, let's go kind of take the top 10.
Um, so probably the biggest piece of advice, not like specifically, but more broadly, that comes from my mother is, um, be careful, think things through, and weigh consequences, which is not a bad lesson
Right.
to take away.
And does it stay with you to this day?
Yes, very much. I mean, I'm young. Sometimes I do.
Which of those is the most difficult to follow?
Most difficult to follow. Staying calm and like reasonably level-headed, in a way.
So that you can clearly see
Exactly.
what the consequences
Exactly.
might be.
Yeah. So it's all kind of related.
All right. What's another momism that has stayed with you?
Well, the thing is, it kind of just ties into that. The way she teaches the lesson is not just teaching it. Like, she carries out and fulfills her lessons in her actions every single day of her life. In every single action, it's always driving home the points that she espouses.
And are you thrilled to be the recipient of that knowledge?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely. Because I don't know where I'd get it from otherwise.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's not an air raid or the flood. There's three of these things. It's the lightning is now over. So after the third one, we'll resume the question. So if you had to, characterize
Okay.
characterize an attribute of your mom that she's now like 50 years old, so she's middle aged, and she will likely, but hopefully, live to well over 100, because that's what happens. So what is it you would want to recommend to her for the second part of her life that maybe this might be something that she should work toward? You could give her some advice.
This is a discussion my mother and I have had a lot, but I think she should fulfill her dreams outside of the household that maybe she wasn't able to fully realize.
Like what?
Well, she says now she wants to go into, I don't know, if lactation nurse or something, like working with babies and new mothers, and she wants to go back to school.
As a
and-
profession, not
Yeah, as a profession.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you're encouraging her to do that.
Very much so.
Okay.
I think that would serve her well.
And would you be willing to contribute to her education?
In any way I could.
Yeah, the moment that you have a paycheck.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the things that you would, if your parents decided, you know what, when Ava Elise goes to college, we want to, I think we're going to adopt a Korean child.
Okay.
And so what are the recommendations you would make to your parents?
What's the Korean child? What's his name?
Your twin? Rufus.
No, Arrested Development.
Oh.
Anyang.
Anyang.
Oh, it might be the North Korean
Okay.
dictator. They might be, getting him too, as a child.
Probably not.
All right, so what would
They
you
wanna keep
recommend,
the lineage strong.
as you now have experienced 19 years of being a Goodman child, you want to pass this on to a brand new child who's just starting out. What recommendation would you have to your mother, to your parents?
To my parents?
Yeah.
Or to the newborn?
No, newborn is on his own.
You can figure it out. What advice would I have to my newborn child?
No.
Or to my parents about newborn?
Yeah,
My bad.
how to raise, what are some things that they should do that you think would be helpful?
I would say, let the child fail.
Yeah.
Um,
What does that mean?
Sometimes, take a step back. Let the kid do some things, mess up, see consequences,
Yeah.
and learn like that. Learn from experience that way.
You don't think they let you fail?
Oftentimes, not particularly.
Saved yourself from yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Which is, obviously a blessing, but in some ways.
Well,
less so.
they say people parent like they were parented. So, in the future when you have children, what lessons did you learn from your parents?
I've thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, and I think. I mean, it's certainly inevitable that I'm going to adopt my parents' methodologies, philosophies.
With
Parenting.
you think with your own twist, extra twist of let them to fail?
Yeah, I think I'd add that. I think I'd add that in when I'm a parent one day.
All right, so if you think.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, every 19-year-old should have a baby on the way.
Dreams of fatherhood. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you're saying let them fail. What else would you recommend to your parents?
About raising a young Korean boy.
Yeah. Don't want to play with missiles?
What else would I recommend to my parents about
Yeah.
raising a young Korean boy?
That might be a little different than, or the same as you were raised by your parents.
I guess stay active, stay vigilant in teaching them lessons, because as you get older, it naturally becomes harder for you to absorb lessons that are like told to you, and so staying on that from a young age, which I think my parents did well, is very important.
All right, now here's a question that's out of left field, and I have of my own personal experience. Growing up, I had a friend whose parents were just great. I mean, they had a lot more money, and I mean, I was always in awe of how they lived. Are there any parents that you've had from your friends or something that you're saying, wow, those are model parents? Man, I'd like to be a kid in that family.
So I've had plenty of extra familial father figures, but and there have been plenty of parents who have been, like more fun for kids than my own. But at the end of the day, no, there's been no parents that I would rather
Okay.
that I would substitute for my own.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's that, and that's very healthy because, you know, you're not feeling like you were cheated out of something.
Plus, your parents are going to watch this.
So as you kind of move along in life, and what do you think your parents want for you, and is it any different than you might want for yourself?
They want me to be happy. I want myself to be happy. So we're on the same boat there. But in terms of specifics, I think they always have my best interest at heart, which is something I greatly appreciate, because that can't necessarily be said for everybody. Some parents are a little bit more forceful in trying to steer their children one direction or another. But I've been granted great freedom to decide kind of my own future, which I'm very grateful for. And so, because I have that freedom, I'll take nudges one way or the other. I can take those.
How would you feel if your parents had gone to jail for getting you into Duke? Would you be disappointed?
I would have loved them so much.
And you
That would have meant so much to me. It would have showed how much they cared. To quote Lindsay Bluth, I just want my parents to spend money on me.
Well, that's a good question. You know, is making a decent living, a good living, a big living? You know, what are the economics of your life?
Moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, your aspirations.
So, I mean, I think it's a natural, maybe not human, but American drive to want to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the guiding principle behind my aspirations. I think it's more wanting to make a difference and do something that I feel is valuable and creative and lives up to the potential of what I think I can do.
Now, I have something that your children are going to get tickled over this question. This summer, you had some entrepreneurial instincts about getting into a business. So why don't you talk about that business?
So, I didn't get so the job I have now, the internship, I didn't get till like kind of late May when I was at summer school back in Durham. So before that, I didn't have a job. So I thought, all right, summer school is going to end. I'm going to come back to Arizona. I'm not going to have a job. What can I do? And I thought, well, if I can't have a job working for someone else, I might as well make my own job. And so I planned to start to pilot a Sonoran hot dog stand business. Start in Arizona and sell in some area, probably of Paradise Valley, Phoenix, North Central, that kind of area, Scottsdale, where there's not much Sonoran hot dog business. And then my plan was to bring it back to Durham and set up 2-3 times a week as kind of a late night food option. And I think I could eventually work and get employees, and if they saw like a student run late night food business with a flavor of the Southwest, I think I still maintain that it could be a successful company.
I think it could be, yeah. Oh, did you ever get to the name of it?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't make it that far. But I was looking into.
But that tells me
startup costs. And
there's
whatnot.
there's some entrepreneurial instincts. Your bloodlines say that
Sure.
there's all kinds of instincts.
Yeah.
So. Now you didn't meet your mom's father, but you know, let's talk about your grandmother. Not Nana, your grandmother Lynn.
My grandmother Lynn is a very, very thoughtful person, and in many ways I see that she's quite similar to my mother. And as I've gotten older, and I've started to kind of observe the dynamic between my grandmother and my mother, it's been really interesting to see kind of where my mom gets a lot of it from.
Is that right? So
Yeah.
So is that possibly a hint to you that whoever you marry, take a look at her mother?
I mean, that's what they say, isn't it?
Well, you're saying it's true.
Yeah.
So you know that's just a hint.
Yeah.
That's one test if you wish to put the test to it. And somebody may be looking at your father and mother is the same way. Which is,
Exactly.
I think they'll be pleased about that.
I hope so.
What does your grandmother make in food?
What doesn't she make?
But what do you like? What do you think about? Just like the meatballs and spaghetti.
So when I go to Washington D.C. to see Grandma, well, I'm always greeted with hummus and chips and celery and whatnot.
At the planes, at the airport.
No, at on Woodington Drive, and so I'm greeted with the hummus, and there's usually a shrimp cocktail platter, and I don't typically like shrimp cocktail, but the way she makes it, which as my mother and I have discussed, involves a more mild horseradish or just not very much horseradish. I like it quite a bit, and guacamole. Obviously, she's a maestro making guacamole. A little. Her method involves more sour cream than my mother's, and I think my mother and I share that in common, a dislike of sour cream, but it's great nonetheless.
Okay. Well, we're going to sort of end this up. Your father is inside, so he doesn't know who we're talking about. So talk about your father for a little bit.
Well, go ahead, ask me something.
All right. What are the attributes that you admire in your father?
My father is a.
Tell the audience what's happening.
My father is filming us right now.
My thumb right here.
My father is very charismatic. He's very good with like making impressions, and he leaves a very positive mark on others, which is something that I admire greatly.
That is to be admired.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about this company called Goodman's? You know. That's right. Forgot. What do you know about it?
I know a lot about the accounting side. I know a lot about the fabric side. I know a lot about the
front desk,
the mail room, the front desk. Yeah, the warehouse. I know about those operations. Obviously it's the premier office furniture company in the entire Southwest, and with my dad as the king of his kingdom.
It's exactly. He's got the touch.
Yes, the corporate kingdom.
Anything you want to finish with birthday greetings to your mother, to your children watching it, to wherever the public for when your presidential run, somebody digs this up?
I would like to say a happy birthday, Mom, and thank you for a successful, I hope, upbringing, and you've done a really good job, in my humble opinion. And also, if in fact it's the case of if it gets digged up one day, I would like to say thank you to my grandmother, Dottie, Nana. I owe it all to you, Nana. She's asked me to say this.
Oh, no, she never asked me to say that. So, and what lessons? Yeah, that's a question. I forgot to ask him that. What lessons from your grandmother over the years? I mean, you and she were very close.
From the one inside?
Yes.
Okay.
Nana.
Lessons have I learned from Nana? Nana is I think she's brilliant at understanding social situations, and kind of reading them and knowing what to say, what not to say, and how to navigate that world. And that's something she's obviously hilarious. Both my grandparents are, and so that's I think the lesson that I've really learned from her.
And what food does she make that you think about, that you look forward to?
Talk about that stew last night. My goodness. My goodness.
All right, we can end on talk about that stew last night. Very good. Happy birthday, Steph.
Happy birthday.
So this might be viewed in 20 years by your children. And so let's talk a little bit about you, so they know the Talia Goodman of today, and also, what's today's date? What are you doing? Are you, are you married? Are you, what's going on with you?
It's August 4th, 2019, about 3 p.m. We're in Flagstaff. We just finished some rounds of golf.
Yeah.
I almost had a hole in one. Not married. I'll be 17 in a month and a day. Yeah.
And you're a junior?
I'll be a junior. Yeah.
Okay. So let's and of course you know what today, you know what's going on with your mother is what's coming up here.
She'll be 50 on the 27th.
and she of course looks like she's 25, right?
20.
Oh, 20. Okay,
20.
that's what I thought. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your mom.
Okay.
What is the best food that you think about that if she makes it, you could eat it every time for sure when she makes it?
She makes like these chicken kebabs with this tzatziki and rice. For some reason, there's something about her rice and the way that she seasons the chicken that is just so good.
Is that right?
It's good.
And has she taught you how to make that?
No, I don't think I could recreate it, so I haven't even asked.
Oh,
But
well, I mean, I think she learned a little bit from her mom in cooking, so I think it would pass down. So, you know, as you come upon your 17th birthday coming up, what's the sign of that? What's the sign of that you're under?
Virgo?
Is
Like
it?
my astrological sign?
Yeah, right.
I'm a Virgo.
Okay, what does that mean?
I'm very balanced.
Is that right? And do you
I think so.
You think so?
I hope so.
No. I mean, you think you live up to the guys who created that stupid chart?
Some of it's very relatable.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right. So, in terms of your mom, what are some of the things that stand out in your mind that she has taught you over these 17 years that will stay with you? You know, I mean, if they're there now, they're going to stay probably forever.
How much she loves to give. Like everything she does is like to help other people, and even if it doesn't benefit herself, which a lot of times it doesn't, she will still do it, just because if it benefits someone, there's some good in that.
And you think that you feel the lesson is not just words, but it's deeds.
Mhm.
So, all right. So, what other attributes do you think that will stay with you as you go through life?
She's very driven.
All right.
Like she will set her mind to something and she will do it. Like she'll say, "I'll plan this vacation," and it'll be planned to the T. Like everything we do, she has just invested so much time into because she tells herself she will, and she does it.
Is that something that you've learned or you just observed?
I've observed.
And where are you on the scale of
Oh boy,
planning?
I got some work. Yeah, I don't really care about some of the small details, which are actually big details when you think about it. But it's not. I'm gonna have to spend some more time with her while she's planning. So I
Well,
can plan that.
I think being a teenager, sort of excuses
Yeah.
some of the details. So as you have grown up, what kind of memories? What's the furthest memory back of you living with your parents?
Well, one time, I think I was about 3, so Ryan was probably 6. We were in the bathroom, and for some reason, it was the two of us in there alone. And I was sitting on the counter. Oh no, we were both standing, and there was a scorpion on the ground. So Ryan lifted me up and put me on the counter, and my parents came in as he was lifting me, and they started yelling.
For him lifting you?
Yeah, or why he was lifting me on the bathroom counter and the scorpion, and it was a hectic.
Oh, okay.
It was a hectic moment.
Did you go to his rescue and say he was doing something good for me?
I don't know. Could I talk at 3? Can you talk like 3?
Not enough to.
Okay,
Yeah.
and maybe. I
Yeah.
don't remember that. I should remember that scorpion part.
Okay, and where are the places that you've lived?
At our house, and then Carl Peters, and then back to our house.
What do you remember about Carl Peters?
Nothing except for the Superman video.
You got to find that green goblin. Superman, 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 Superman. We have to go look. Next place is your room.
So, for your children and their children's children are going to see this, you're pretty good at some artistic endeavor. And when did you start getting interested in?
I went to the Nutcracker with Nana, my grandma, when I was four maybe. Excuse me.
There
What is
goes
it?
everybody.
What is it?
The whole rest of the family
Yeah.
and the dog
Oh,
going out to play soccer.
this happens a lot. They go off and play a sport. I sit here. So I went to see the Nutcracker when I was 4, and I saw Clara, who was like the main little girl, and I said, I want to be her. So then I started ballet and soccer at the same time, and my parents forced me into soccer. I hated it, so in kindergarten and 1st grade, I would purposefully kind of play terribly, so then they'd let me quit. And it worked.
Yeah, that's very good.
And then I did full-time ballet.
Full-time ballet, and you might want to tell, what about that dream to become Claire?
Oh yeah, when I was 13. It was the day before my 13th birthday, and I got the role. It was like the best day ever.
And we have video to prove it.
Yeah.
So as you're now in your junior year, this might be a foreteller for what your future's going to look like. But what did you do this summer?
I went to Georgetown University, and I did like a kind of mini medical school. I saw like some cadavers, and like I got to hold all their organs, and it was so cool. We watched a video of like a dissection, and like and I learned how to intubate someone, and I saved a car crash victim, and I helped a machine birth a baby, and I learned how to draw blood.
And did you faint?
No, but someone did. That was bad.
And she left. Did she leave the class?
Yeah, in a wheelchair. It was not good.
So I mean, it's a long way from medical school, but right now you're feeling that is a strong possibility, yeah?
I hope so. I hope that works out.
Yeah, well, it's doctors are right now there's a shortage. I don't think there's going to be, an oversupply in a short period of time. So, what are you looking for in college? What are you looking forward to in college?
Kind of how to live on my own and learn how to like manage my time properly. Because right now, I have like a very set schedule every day. So it's like I have school, and then I have ballet, and then I know when I come home I have to do homework. But like when I'm in college, I'm not gonna have ballet, so I know I'm gonna have to learn how to like actually do my work because I have to and not put it off.
And you won't have two people who might be reminding you what to do?
Yeah, that too.
What kind of, where do you think you might want to go to school in terms of
Oh, boy.
geographics?
East Coast.
East Coast.
Yeah.
Why?
I want to like experience a change of scenery, and then, as my parents are persuading me to do, go there so then I can see how amazing Arizona is, and I want to live there forever.
That's true. A few winters to turn your head. But as a college student, probably doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
So, one of the things that I asked Ryan, and he was very forthcoming, is I told him that after Ava goes to college, they really wanted another child, so they're going to adopt a Korean child. But they need some help as to, from you, what you would tell them to do differently than when you were raised. Some tips.
Well, Ava's already being raised very differently than I am, and I was raised differently than Ryan. I think it's just they got a lot more lenient as the generation went on. I think I feel like Ava kind of has the least rules, but I don't know. I mean, we all turned out pretty okay, so maybe just do the same thing.
Is that right? I suppose it's Kim Jong-un that they adopted, and they're going to have to really take care. This kid's going to be turning into a terror.
Oh well, boarding school?
Yeah,
Maybe?
give him back.
Get rid of them?
So there's nothing they should continue to do, or is there something they should not do as much of?
Continue to travel. That was a great experience. I feel like that really changed a lot about how I see kind of the world, like getting to experience different cultures and knowing what's out there as like instead of just a little bubble that we're in. And then do differently. I don't know.
Is
I
that,
don't know.
is that one recommendation that,
Well, because anything that I'd say that I guess I'd have them do differently, it worked out in the end. It like made sense. So.
Mhm.
I
but
guess
at the
that-
moment it may not have?
Yeah, at the moment it sucked, but now I understand. So.
So, let's talk about your travels. What are some of your favorite memories of traveling?
One of my favorite memories was when we were in South Africa. Maybe it was Zambia. We were in a hotel that was kind of like a outdoor hotel, like your door opened up to outside. And my brother and I were staying in a room by ourselves, and a lion came to our door and roared, and he got a fruit knife and tried to ward it off. But then the guards came and took away the lion, so we were safe.
So
but-
your big brother was protecting you with a fruit knife?
Yeah, exactly.
Against the lion?
Yeah. He didn't open the door. We looked through like the little keyhole, and he was ready if he needed to.
is that right?
If it broke down the door.
Oh my God, wow,
Yeah.
all right.
Hey, listen, we're about to run through a pack of monkeys. They have claws. It's scary.
You can't. They're little.
All right. And what other memories of trips did you?
Our 10-hour ATV ride in Iceland. It was supposed to be, I think, 4, but I guess the leader must have gotten lost or something. But it ended up like being over double what like the initial time was supposed to be. That was very memorable.
So is you think your recommendation is a lot of travel, a lot of exposure, but how old were you what was your first trip that you remember?
I don't know. Might have been Africa.
And you're how old?
8?
Wow, so your memories are at 8 is enough, is the time that memories,
Maybe I was 9.
okay, well, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
so if you pay attention.
I don't remember like some of the super like tiny details, but I remember a lot of like the shocking things, like whenever we'd see animals like fighting or being eaten.
Well, of course, you got a lot of videos too.
Yeah,
you
and that
can go-
jogs my memory.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. Okay, so this idea that you might go into medicine, you come from a family that has some DNA of being entrepreneurs. Is that you?
No. I'm very bad at coming up with ideas and then sticking to them. Like if I come up with one, I'm like, okay, I came up with it, now you do it. Like I'm not, I couldn't, no.
You don't think you're an executor?
No. And I could do it, but I wouldn't come up with the idea. Like it's one or the other.
Uh-huh.
And then, what else? I also feel like, being an entrepreneur, like that takes a long time, I think, to get everything to like where you envisioned it would be.
And a doctor is overnight.
Well, no, but I'm saying like it's such a risky thing to be an entrepreneur, and for some it works out great and it's amazing, but for others, it doesn't, I guess.
Okay, let's talk about your grandparents, your grandmothers.
Okay.
What are some of the things that that your grandmother in Washington? What does she make that you absolutely cannot wait to eat, and you think about, and what she's
Her
going to.
pies. She makes the best pie on Thanksgiving one year. All the grandkids were staying in the house, and for some reason none of the parents were there. So when we woke up in the morning afterwards, she was like, "What kind of pie do you guys want?" And she didn't have like what we all asked for, so she made us like 7 new pies that morning.
Oh my God!
It was so good.
And what do you think the idea that that the grandparents and the mother and everything influences you? What kind of mother do you think you will be?
I feel like I'm gonna be pretty similar to my mom. Like when I was younger, I'd always be like, "Oh, she's way too strict." Like I'm gonna be so lenient with my kids. And then as I'm like, even looking at Ava, I'm like, "What is she doing?" So I don't think that I'll be that lenient. When she's like, "Why can't I wear crop tops?" Even though I was asking that same question at 13, I'm now looking at her. I'm like, "What do you mean? You like, why can't you?" So yeah.
Well, there is some benefit to being a third child, actually. So speaking of that, who's your favorite? Who's your parents' favorite child?
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask who. Ryan. Well, they spend the most time with Ava, but Ryan has like well, without some aspects of his personality, like on paper, he's like perfect.
Yeah. So you think he's your favorite?
My
He's their-
favorite
no,
of their
their
parents.
fa- their
Yeah.
favorite.
Well, I think overall would be Ava, just because they spend the most time together, and then a close second will be Ryan.
But do you think, weren't you ever in number one spot?
I was, and then like 4 years ago, I kind of fell out of the top. Yeah,
No,
and
that's-
I had been not ever
No,
since.
I think I think the race is not over.
Well, yeah.
I think you're in contention for number one
No.
long term.
No.
We're more of a third parent, so we don't really even count you as one of the children.
So what about your Nana? You know, what did you learn from her? What did she make for you? What lessons have you learned?
I'd say from when I was like a baby to probably when I was like 11, she was one of my top 3 best friends. Like, I would wanna, well, obviously you too. We're only talking about her for right now. I'll get to you.
I'm an independent third party interviewer.
I'm getting to you.
I don't
I'm
have a
getting to
stake
you.
in this
Okay,
thing.
I'm getting to you. I'm saying I would want to go to your guys' house after school. I'd want to be with her because I knew, like I remember playing princess with her and dress up and all those kinds of games, and she would tolerate me being like, let's do it again. And whenever I'd come up here, like we'd make tutus and go to Joann's fabric supplies and like buy all this tulle and look up tutorials and food. Like, stands out. I feel like it's either like a home run or burnt.
Or burnt. Well, that's because she's making food for me.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. There's not one specific thing. But she always makes very good food. It's not like one her specialty.
Okay, so
She's like very solid
Mhm.
cook.
And so from the standpoint of lessons learned when you're a grandparent, what are lessons that you learned from both your grandmothers?
I will pass on Nana's 2 most important lessons in life. The first one, the most important thing in life is who you marry. And the second is you never wash eggs with cold water. Those 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
and from your grandmother in Washington?
I don't know. I think there's not like really one specific lesson, but kind of she's just very like well-rounded. Like she's very interested in the arts, but she's just a very well-rounded person. I don't know. I think to keep that aspect of like being involved in everything and appreciating everything.
So do you have, today's environment, political environment, for those of you who don't know, President Trump got impeached. But what in your school, did your friends talk about politics, and is that ever a subject?
Not necessarily like the nitty-gritty of politics, but the big things. Like right now, it's like abortion and gun laws. It's those 2 are kind of and immigrants, like immigration and everything. Those 3, I guess.
Does climate change sound familiar?
Yeah, but that one's we all kind of agree on that one, so we don't
Yeah.
really talk about it.
Oh,
But
yeah. But there's controversy in the others.
yeah, a lot,
Yeah.
a lot.
Do you think the school helps you have clarity, or they say
No,
you guys
the
work
school's
it out?
very one-sided. The school, it's a very liberal school, and all the teachers kind of impose their views on the students and don't let if they don't agree with the student's opinion, they kind of won't let them have a voice. So, it's a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well, you think in college it's a little more freedom, but nonetheless just as liberal, likely, most
Yeah.
college. But so you're going to have to, again, think for yourself.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you want to
Boyfriend?
say?
Boyfriend?
What?
Boyfriend?
What?
Boyfriend?
Oh, boyfriend. Oh, yeah. Yeah, are you a single woman?
No.
Tell us about your boyfriend.
His
Oh,
name-
your kids are going to love this.
His name's Will,
Yeah. How old is he?
16.
Yeah. What's he like?
He's really funny.
Yeah.
He's like a very goofy person.
Mm-hmm.
He's almost a foot taller than I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. He plays golf
He does.
and basketball.
Have you told him about your adventure today?
You think I didn't brag about my almost hole in one? Really?
And does he know anything about the bows?
What? Oh, I don't think so. I didn't mention that yet.
Oh, okay, well, you might be able to give him a tip. Watch him swing and say, "Yeah, I have a tip for
Both.
you." Yeah. So, do you know what his plans are? To go to school? What's
His main thing is a school with a very good sports.
so he can play?
No, just be very invested in
Oh.
watching and
Yeah.
participating in sporting events.
And so, have you learned a lot about sports in order to have conversations with him?
No.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I know like a layup. And that's like
Don't.
3-point.
Yeah.
That's.
Does he play for your high school? Are you going to go to the games?
I think I have ballet.
Oh, okay. All right. Well.
No, I'll go. I'll go.
Yeah. So that's a good segue back to ballet. What are some of the things about ballet that you think are life lessons for anybody to recommend that they do what you did, in pursuing ballet from 4 years old to 16?
Ballet takes a lot of dedication, and you really have to commit to it. You can't kind of do it halfway. Like you'll miss out, or at least a lot of people I know.
You'd never be the star of Nutcracker.
Well, no, I mean, like missing out on birthday parties and my mom, sister, and brother. Oh no, some part of my family, like they went to the Galapagos Islands without me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we catch.
Is that a hard decision?
Well, I mean, that was the year I was Clara, so that was
Oh.
kind of a no-brainer. But I don't know. I missed out on a lot, but it really kind of showed me how dedicated I can and how I should be to the things I pursue in life. And also, ballet is so meticulous that you have to be paying. You have to be giving your full attention all the time. You
Mhm.
can't kind of zone out because you're gonna miss so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's taught me to really fine tune everything I do because I know the little things matter.
And so, how do you think will ballet? Just go after high school. Will you continue to do what kind of ballet involvement would you have?
I'd like to go to if there are open classes. I like to stay involved. I'm obviously gonna go to performances and stuff when I'm older and the local company wherever I end up. I'd love to go and see their shows, but I think in college if there are any open classes or recreational things, I'd participate.
So the concept of dedicating and not, half-hearted is, you think, the biggest thing that you might have learned.
Yeah.
And that also comes from your mother too, doesn't it?
It's true.
Maybe that DNA does run. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to say to your parents and to your, grandparents or anybody you want to talk to that this film will last for a lifetime?
I had a really great childhood, I guess. I was raised kind of the perfect way, not too strict, even though I didn't think that at all times, and not too lenient. They were very invested, but with all the right things, I guess.
Last words to your mom on her birthday?
Happy birthday. It's a big one. Thank you so much for everything you've done. You have no idea what it's meant to me. All the little things, you have no idea. But you're the best, and I 100% would not be where I am without you and all your support.
So Ava, what's coming up here regarding your mom? Anything special, any day?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, birthday.
Oh, birthday. Yeah, that's it. Well, that happens once a year. But there's anything special about this birthday?
50th.
Is that-
50.
Some people call it half century, but
Half century.
yeah. So you want to. What this is about is to talk about your mom, and what are the things that you remember about your mom going all the way back when you were the littlest Ava there was. The things that just stick in your mind about things that happened that were funny or nice or whatever.
Well, I remember
So the big one taught me about lying.
How did that happen?
Well, I lied to them about something on my iPad. It was a big thing with my two friends, Winter and Sienna. And then after I lied, she found out I lied, and I was grounded for 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah,
So
I
that
haven't
lesson.
lied since.
How old were you?
10. It was like when I first got my iPad.
Oh, okay. So what a lesson. Then that lesson will last forever. I'm certain of that. So are there other things that over time that your mom may have, have done that you really look back and say, I mean, the lying thing certainly is a big one, but other things that she's taught you that were life's lessons, that the ways that she either spoke to you or raised you or made some kind of suggestion that has really stuck?
Probably about being like selfless, and like she puts everybody else like first.
Yeah.
And then she kind of is trying to teach me. She's taught me to do that, and like also put yourself in their shoes, and like know that people, like for example, celiac sometimes, like people have it worse, and she's taught me that I can control that, and so it's not like a big deal. I should be grateful about that since I have like A disease that it's celiac.
Yeah, and that's hard to do, and so sometimes it's not so easy.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. So what are some things that that your mom, that you really maybe at the time didn't really appreciate, some event that you really didn't appreciate, but you look back and say, okay, I understand.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Well, all right. Let's you'll think of that later.
Yeah.
But as you grow up and you have your own family, how do you think you'll raise your children that might be different or better in your mind or whatever that you've learned as a child of the Goodman twosome?
Like what I'll do the same that she did?
Would you?
I would do the same. I would ground them for a long time.
Number
So
one,
they know.
you think grounding works, huh?
Yeah, just so they know not to mess with me, just like my mom did. I don't know. I don't really know what I'd do differently. Maybe I wouldn't let them get like a phone. I wouldn't let them get a phone for a
You
while.
think retrospectively you might have gotten the phone a little too early?
Maybe.
Maybe. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Too late now.
It's too late now, yeah.
So let me tell you something about your father. When he graduated college, we were sitting down like this, and Nana was filming. We used to big things, and I said to him that we've decided that we really want another child, but we're adopting a Korean child. And so we said to him, what we want to learn is that teach us something that we did that was right, and tell us something, it might be better for this next child if there was a fourth child here that you would recommend to your parents. You're out of it, so nobody can't be punished, you can't be grounded. You're just making an honest assessment of what to do, how to raise a child with Adam and Stephanie Goodman. So what would it be?
Maybe to let them kind of freedom, maybe a little more freedom, so they can kind of experience.
What would be an example of freedom?
Being allowed to, at the right age, maybe not going places alone, trying to experience on your own.
Is that something you'd like to do? Is go alone somewhere?
Yeah, and I'm not allowed.
Where would you want to go if you were?
Like the mall, they have to be there.
Uh-huh.
And I get why, it's safety, but maybe, or just walking to Fry's, maybe alone, just so they can experience what's like to not just be like with a parent all the time.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I think was very, not life changing, but very helpful to your father. We were in New York City, and he
Oh,
was
yeah.
about maybe 12, and he walked for numbers of blocks by himself, and he wanted to experience that freedom of I'm alone, but I'm in control.
Yeah. Oh, I know having the kid be home alone
Yeah.
at a young age.
So you would have been okay to be home alone more at a younger age.
I feel like they should have done that even if I didn't want to, because now I can't be home alone because I'm just scared.
Why are you scared? What do you think is all that's about?
I'm scared of like someone breaking in, and that, I don't know.
Do you really think that could happen?
Yeah.
I mean, really, realistically.
No, but like my brain just thinks that.
Yeah.
And like someone's coming in the house, so I can't be home.
Is it lessened? Do you feel less of that now, or the same, or?
Oh no, I can't be home alone.
You can't. So, what age do you think that that's going to go away?
Hopefully like 16.
So you got 2 more years, huh?
Yeah, because no, it's not very good. It's really bad.
Okay. Well, so another thing, you have 2 older siblings. What have you learned about being a Goodman child from observing how they were raised by your parents?
I know not to, I know what to say sometimes and what not to say.
Whether it's accurate or not, you know the right thing. Huh?
Yeah, and I know once, for example, if I get in an argument, I try not to continue it, because then it just builds up and then it just gets really scary.
Do you think your siblings didn't realize that?
I don't think Ryan did. I think Talia kind of learned from Ryan, then I learned from both of them. Now I got all what they did bad, I can fix that.
And what did they do good that you're picking up their traits and realizing?
I think street smarts. I don't have I kind of do. I've learned from them. What else?
How do you get street smarts?
I don't know. My dad. No, or more like common sense.
Yeah. I
think my dad kind of helped me, and then they helped Talia and Ryan, and then I kind of learned from them, because they get mad at me when I would say something stupid.
So common sense is street smarts by and large. I mean,
yeah.
you know what to think about and what to look for.
Yeah.
So let's talk about school. School's coming up, huh?
Tomorrow.
That's coming up. Are you excited about it?
Yeah, because I'm bored here.
Yeah,
I don't have
okay.
anything,
Oh, I do want to ask one question. We go back before school. You had a great experience this summer at camp, right?
Yeah.
And is there anything that stands out about camp that will last forever? Either something you read, something a boy might have done, something that was just outrageous that will be remembered by you for a long time. If not by you, certainly by your grandparents.
Like something that happened at camp?
Yeah.
Well, at camp, I know not to, there's kind of, in a group, there's kind of a leader. I'm not going back to camp, and this is kind of the reason why, because so in my little, in a friends group, there was kind of a leader at camp, and I didn't like that. So now I kind of realized that if that's ever happening, if I'm in a friend group where there's a leader, to get out of it.
So you don't think there should be one person that leads it? Do you think do you have a tendency to be a leader?
Yeah, but this leader is they'll follow her, and they just do whatever she says.
So that's sort of like a dictator.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
No, that's right. But is there anything that some gesture that somebody made that your grandparents love that you do?
Oh, love? Oh, just that I did?
No, that a boy did at camp. Every time he would, and then he finally left camp. Could you just once do it on camera?
Oh, I thought you were talking about something I liked.
Okay.
Let's go.
That's it. Thank you for us. This is not for your mom. It's for us.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like, what about you?
No. So okay. So let's talk about school. And you're kind of looking forward to it because you're bored. But what's going to happen in school? I mean, your siblings have told you, what the grade you're going into 8th grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you think it's going to be a lot harder?
Well, I've heard from Talia and Ryan that 7th grade is the hardest year.
Yeah.
So that's better. But like the teachers, I feel like the teachers are more hard, but the grade itself is not as hard as 7th grade.
Oh, okay. Well, how does that make you feel?
Better, good. Yeah.
Hey, well, you had a pretty good year last year, didn't you? What, by the way, what's the date so that when your children are looking at this, what day and what year?
It is August 19th, 2019 at 13.
Let's get that, because this is going to last forever.
Yeah.
All right, so how was last year? Did you have a good year?
I did. I got all A's except for music.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop.
All right, so all A's, and how are things socially last year?
Good. I made a bunch of new friends.
Yeah, well, okay, so tell your children that what it's like to be in grade school, and what maybe you learned about growing up and having these friends who some you like, some you don't like.
What about them?
Yeah, how do you navigate the social 7th grade social situation? Yeah.
Oh, well, like drama, if there's a big fight, how I handled it in like 6th grade is I just stopped being friends with the person because it was too much. And then last year I didn't have any drama, so.
Because why do you think you had it?
Cause I have a really good relationship like with all my friends, and the new friends I made, they are drama free and they're really nice, and they don't do any of that. They're not involved in anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then now none of my the friends I had before, they're not involved in any of that either.
Yeah, well, that's good. Speaking of involved, in 2019, telephone is pretty much almost a body part, right? And what would you say to your children 20 years from now when they look at this about the telephone?
If it's still a thing, then I'm gonna put screen time on it because I go on it too much.
If it's still a thing, probably there'll be now embedded things or something in the ear, and you won't even know it. Yeah,
just choose something.
That's right. You'll be thinking about it, and somebody will know it. Yeah. So all right, so we're moving forward, and this is really early in your development, but you have siblings and you have friends who have older siblings. What do you see yourself? What's possible if you could look as far into the future? What would you see yourself doing?
In
college and in life, and
I see myself trying to be an interior designer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
At any particular place?
Doing it and designing for a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do houses.
Houses.
And I would become the next big interior designer.
Is that right? Do you think in your blood you have any entrepreneurial spirit? To want to be an entrepreneur. To be in business and be, really do something big.
Well, yeah. My dad, and then you, and then your father, your grandpa.
So you think there might be a 4th generation Goodman at Goodman's?
Maybe not for me, but maybe
Why?
for Ryan.
Why would you?
Cause I don't know about running a furniture business.
You're 14.
Yeah.
How many 14-year-olds know?
True.
But sometimes, is there anything about being a business person that you don't like, which you see in the paper or see on television or whatever?
Well, I would, if I owned Goodman's, I'd like being my own boss.
Because?
Because then I could I tell people what, no one tells me what to do, I tell the people what to do.
Is it because, well, there's a lot of responsibility when you have people, you're the boss, you don't just get to manage yourself.
Yeah, true, but it's okay.
So what have you learned from your mom in terms of how to deal with friends and how to deal with problems and things that just happen in life?
Well, she tells me not to get involved in stuff if it doesn't occur if it's towards me. Because if my friends are in an argument, she'll tell me to stay away from it and she knows my bad not very good friends from the beginning, and she'll try and steer me away from them.
Would you ordinarily, without that advice, get involved in their problems?
I probably would. Maybe. She knows what to do and knows what to say if I ever get in drama, and if my friends do, and then they ask me to help them, she helps me say no. But if I didn't have her doing that, then I probably would help them if they asked me to get involved with their drama.
So what have you learned from your dad?
From my dad, I've learned that it's I think drama's not worth the time. It's just. So
pretty much the same. But what else have you learned from him?
That has to do with drama, or just in life?
Anything.
Oh.
In life, yeah.
Learned a lot of common sense. I learned to get control of my brain. That's something that he tells me every single day. And I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
You really feel like you're within grasp of it?
Maybe, because we went to a program that's directed towards that before camp, and so that helped me.
Tell us about that.
So it was a kind of a program where it it doesn't organize stuff, but I don't know how to describe it, so it would help me prioritize and what's good enough. So this quadrant 1, that's it's important, I need to spend my time on that. And then there's something that's quadrant 4 that it's not a big deal, and then it would just kind of help me know what's important and what's not, and I don't just overreact once something happens, so I can just kind of.
Great. So it was that could be a life-changing lesson.
Yeah, it was.
Good. So all right, there's somebody here taking the film, and you might identify her, but she won't be on film.
Nana?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It isn't Remy.
No.
So what, you and Nana have grown up together. Well, she hasn't grown up quite as much as you have, but well, what have you learned from your Nana?
I've learned a lot. It's hard to just think on the spot. I've learned just kind of just be yourself, kind of, and just be crazy, because she's definitely crazy. Yeah. She doesn't really care what other people think.
What are some of the crazy things she's done?
Well, she just is acts fun. She's plays with slimes. she's really active, and just she dances. She's the boss. So I've kind of learned not to care much what other people think, and trying to just be crazy, myself.
Oh, good. Well, being yourself is being true to yourself. That's what Nana is, true to herself. As you go through, if you had to pick what an ideal husband for Ava Goodman would look like, what are some of the attributes of an ideal husband?
That would look like?
No, not me. He would look, how he would look, what he would be like, what kind of family, just as much, whatever. I assume you thought a little bit about it.
Yeah, it would probably be, he'd be nice and goofy, and just wouldn't be serious. Mm-hmm. And he would care a lot and have a good personality, obviously. Yeah. And then yeah, he'd always put other people first. That's a thing. And then looks, I don't know, right? Brown hair, and like tall, but not too tall, because I'm supposed to be tall, so he needs to be taller than me. So then I'm supposed to be 5'9", so that he needs to be like in the 6s.
6'6"?
No.
No.
Children.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's very. I mean, that's the kind of thing that just you can't ignore the thoughts that come to your head. So,
Yeah.
so in as you live a wonderful life. Your parents have really done well by every standard, and so how important is like making money?
It's definitely like in the future.
Yeah.
It'd be important, and like I get a job that I love, and like that also makes a good amount. Cause I'd want like my kids to have to be able to go on trips like I did, and like experience that at when they're younger. And so I guess it is kind of important, but it's not like so important that's all I care about.
That's good. You mentioned trips. What, we've been on some pretty interesting trips. What's the earliest trip, or what's the most memorable trip, or both? You can answer both, they might be different.
My earliest trip?
Yeah, earliest trip that you remember.
I think it was like South Africa. That was memorable, and is that the earliest trip I've been on? That's
we used to go to Hawaii.
Oh yeah, Hawaii, but I don't really remember. Oh, I do remember that. That's the earliest trip. Yeah, Hawaii.
Yeah, what part of the trip to Hawaii do you remember?
I remember. I'll go for it now. I remember. Where we would eat. I remember like the big buffet, and I remember dancing on the stage.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about being in a store where you didn't know there was a window?
No. I lost conscious.
That's right. I'm sure your dad's going to be able to figure out where that one, I think he has that. So let's talk about South Africa. What do you remember about South Africa?
I remember like the village and going with all the kids, and I remember when Ryan and my mom jumped off the bridge, and I remember our hotels and having an allergic reaction to the medicine, and I remember Nana went to the bathroom, and then the security guard got her. I remember coming back from we were all at a table. I just found a camera with all the pictures from Africa.
Oh, you did? I think that happened in Vietnam with the security guard.
No, it was Africa.
It was in Africa?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about monkeys?
I remember, I didn't have that. It was Talia and Ryan.
Oh,
Got
okay.
chased,
You didn't see it. Okay.
If I got chased by monkeys, I was little, I'd get taken down by the monkeys.
That's right.
You carry! They're little.
Yeah, you'd fight them off. Nah, you're strong.
Okay.
So, this is your mom's birthday. What kind of wish or happy birthday wish or life wish for your mother you want to make?
Happy birthday. I wish you to be healthy for the rest. You'd be healthy and happy, and go on trips with Dad once we leave.
Okay. You don't think they should adopt a Korean child?
I think they should adopt a child.
Do you think so?
Yeah, a Korean child.
You want to be an older sister to somebody? Would you like that? You think you could teach them?
For like maybe a week.
A week.
And then I'd be done, because I'm pretty much tall.
What about if it's a girl? Would you let her borrow the clothes?
No.
No way.
That's a big
Did your
no.
sister let you borrow her clothes?
She didn't let me. I did. I let myself.
Okay, well, All right. Well, I think that we had a wonderful interview. Happy birthday to your mother, and it's a wrap.